Comfortable. Awesome. Nana, I'm going to start with you as, senior marketing manager of J&B. What are some of the opening insights that you would like to share with our audience today?
Thank you, Busi. Can everyone hear me? Yeah. Okay. So as Busi previously introduced me, I am the senior brand manager of J&B Scotch, and I want to thank you all for joining us this afternoon. Entrepreneurship is a conversation that we need to continue having within this country, especially with the current economic landscape. And I'm very proud to welcome you to the new home of the J&B Hive.
Yay! Woo!
So the J&B Hive was actually previously on 100 Juta Street, and with the growing need within the Braamfontein community, we opted to relocate to 81 Decote once the space became available, and it's just more vibrant than it used to be, and I just want to thank the members for creating this beautiful space, because they actually contributed to it. Yeah. So just a little bit about the history of the J&B Hive and how it came about. So it's actually since 2015 that the J&B brand has been partnering with the J&B Hive to identify local entrepreneurs and build up their skills, upscale them, and obviously provide financial support where required. And we are proud to share with you some of the success stories that have actually come through the Hive recently. So I'm sure some of you are aware of Nomdumiso Nkosi. She is the woman behind the Afrolux head jewelry brand, Bidu. And one of the things that she's been doing recently is she had the opportunity to collaborate with an iconic South African brand. Another one of the success stories that I would like to share with you is that of Neo Mahlangu. She actually had the opportunity to design one of the coins just to commemorate the 25 years of democracy in South Africa. I think that is such a stunning achievement, and I'm so proud to be associated with guys who have come in and are building up their brand and building up their businesses and actually achieving things on a larger scale right now. And then we've got Walk Fresh, Letabo Mokwena, who has expanded his footprint from Soweto all the way to Sandton. So he recently won, I just want to get the award right, he received a Business and Entrepreneurship Award at the Youth Excellence Awards recently. And he has also, so he started in a container in Soweto, and now he's got one at the Sports Scene store in Sandton City Mall. So I would, please do go and check it out. These guys are doing big things.
Let's sink our teeth into the discussion. And maybe starting with you, Sibongile. How many members are in the Hive currently? And why do you think that it's important for us to support emerging entrepreneurs in order for them to succeed?
So we have about 47 businesses in our community of entrepreneurs. And that's because, so once you're a Hive member, you're always a Hive member. We don't kick everybody out at the end of their, let's say, their learning term.
Yes.
And that's also just to build up that network, to gain that social capital. Not everyone who comes through the space necessarily has the networks, the connections that generally push everybody forward in their businesses. So we're creating that in-house together. So that's the number of members that we have. And then in the past 12 months, we've recruited, should be 17 businesses, and a lot of those showcasing today are from these last two cohorts who've just recently been going on the program. So those are the businesses that we have, and like I think you mentioned the type of the offering that we do have. It's the infrastructure. it's the space. Some of those businesses are in eventing, so having these 3 stages allows them to grow within the space, whether it's just with currently emerging and gaining that audience to making it up to this next level Justorini stage over here, and that's how we designed everything. It's the audiovisual equipment that they share in. It's a pool of resources. Everything here is a pool of resources for the community to dip into.
Absolutely. Okay, Debs, let's come to you and your story and your journey. As an entrepreneur, how did your journey with J&B Hive start, and what made this space the ideal entity for you, in supporting your endeavors?
Initially, we didn't know about the J&B Hive, and we were approached just to kind of fill in they had a cafe that was opened, and we were looking to expand anyway. Looking for pop-ups, and we came through, and we just kind of met a lot of the entrepreneurs that were part of the space, and it just made sense to us to be a part of what was going on here for our growth as a small business. And I think partnering with J&B, which is a global brand, and we wanting to grow, it just made sense to go with people who know exactly what they're doing or have the network to help us with our growth. So that was kind of our journey. I think it was last year, mid last year, something like that, that we came on board just as a pop-up initially, and then we became members. Yeah.
Amazing. And Itumeleng, maybe going through to you, when we talk about entrepreneurship, often all we hear about is the doom and the gloom and the failures. But how has your business managed to survive through its affiliation with the J&B Hive?
It's a combination of a couple of things. Other than J&B Hive, as a company, there's a lot of challenges you need to go through, and through tenacity, resilience, and just understanding that the journey is going to be hard. That should be the foundation before any other association or partnership comes in. And through that understanding and knowing that it's not going to be easy, it just became organic, and it just became a bit more better being associated to the brand. But other than that, I think you need to have those things, man, tenacity and resilience.
Yeah.
And just to know that it's going to get hard. One more thing that's very important is planning. Like, you need to plan. There's on-season and off-seasons. When it's off-season, what happens? Like, which other opportunities can you tap into, and how can you keep going when there's tough times? So that's essentially how we survive.
I love that. A friend of mine tweeted recently that any startup has to make a concession in the South African economy that's going to be hard for at least the first 3 years. And what does that concession mean for how you show up as an entrepreneur? So, the values you gave are crucial. But let's talk about inclusivity, because we're talking about the creative space, which is a space that is neglected, but also within the creative space, you have to look at the reality that women-led businesses only make up 31% of startups, whereas this country has over 50% of its population being women. So Sibongile, how do you think we can create an inclusive community, and what strides has this space in particular made?
I think it starts, I know I say this a lot, but it starts with all of us. And for us, it was important to be inclusive, because even when I joined, it was, I was the only woman. And then you start there, and then you notice that if some, our spaces tend to be very visual, and people want to come inside, or they're curious. And then you'd see, women walking by, they're curious, they're probably entrepreneurs themselves, but then all they saw was a group of guys in the space, and they must have figured that this is not for me, and then they would just keep on walking by.
Absolutely.
And for us, that planted that seed of actually, we need to do more. And so for us, our inclusivity practices are all about, partnering with people who look for great businesses at the start, and for them the focus sometimes tends to be women-led businesses. So we pursue a lot of partnerships, and we've grown from the point where we were attracting only a few women-led businesses, and now we're attracting a lot more. I know I'm sitting up here with the guys, but the women are around as well, and all of them, they have different businesses, and it just adds a richness to the community.
Absolutely.
And there's, we have to think about it beyond just us, but rather with diversity, you get access to a diversity of markets.
Exactly.
Right? So, not everyone thinks the same. So if it's just like it's just a little club, it can even be, if it's just a club of us, fine artists, you'll only ever think about fine art in your way. You need to be able to open up and think about the broader market. What does the person down the street think or around the corner? And you can only get that if you have a rich and diverse community.
Absolutely. And in fact, one of the most successful female entrepreneurs in the world, Jessica O. Matthews, says that when you don't have 50% of the world's population at the table making decisions, then you're missing 50% of the innovative solutions that you need. So diversity isn't just something that we do because it's nice, it's crucial to the quality of the solutions that we come up with. But let me go back to the entrepreneurs and speaking to all the other entrepreneurs in the space now. What are the things that you found most difficult when you started? And what do you still find difficult and wish, that we could have overcome perhaps through intervention from certain sects or levels in society?
It was the mindset going in at first. I thought things would just organically happen. Clients, you put yourself out there, clients start coming and all of that. But the harsh reality is you have to double down.
Yeah.
Like you need to put in the work. You need to have the portfolio, the service offerings that you supply, the client actually needs.
Yeah.
Other entrepreneurs, you have this idea and you think your client wants your service.
Exactly.
Without actually understanding the importance of understanding their problem, and you coming in to solve it. You starting up a business, you're not doing anyone a favor, and understanding that in the beginning was very hard because you would knock on doors, and if I didn't have a sound mind and the inner voice was louder than opinions outside, I think I would have given up.
But also, Itumeleng, when you start, you're so passionate about your solution, right? You're so passionate because you've thought about it. You've probably sacrificed a lot to pursue this solution, and all of a sudden, the market is telling you that not so much this solution, something else, So, you speak a lot about this mindset issue, but how do you necessarily jump through that hurdle of believing in something so much and someone telling you to potentially even scrape it all together to achieve success?
Okay, for me, it was a burning design. As you can see, my company's name is my legacy. It's my surname, basically. And that had to be a learning curve rather than something that would deter me and see it as a failure and quit, So it differs from person to person as to what is that burning desire, what's your why. And if it's not strong enough, obviously you're gonna quit. But if it is strong, you're gonna find ways, opportunities. It's almost like back in varsity when you were going to a party and you didn't have money. You always found means and ways because you were so determined to go to that party. And you actually did, and you had the best time of your life.
Yeah.
So that's how I actually look at each and every situation that is difficult in my life. I'm like, if I could do that then, if I apply the same principles in life and the things that I want to achieve, how far can I go with this? So that's how I managed to.
That's really powerful. That's really brilliant. I think that deserves a hand. Debs, what about you?
I think a lot, maybe just seconding and echoing that. And as entrepreneurs, I think the ability to adapt. For me, coffee was my passion. My dream wasn't to open a coffee shop. It was just a result out of my passion and things that I was doing. So we were training. It was almost the era of where our country was going, where coffee was becoming a culture, and we came on board in training baristas. And that resulted in why not open a coffee shop where we don't have the funds? Okay, why don't you do markets? Okay, we'll start with markets and then we'll open a store. And if we didn't do the markets, we would have failed at the store because we learned stuff. I remember our first market that we did, oh my goodness, we had a lot of stuff we're missing.
Yeah.
But now, over the time, we were able to adapt and grow in, okay, this is what we need, et cetera, et cetera. This is what people are looking for. And when we opened the first store, it was almost a year of experience adapting to what people would want. When we opened the store, again, not everyone was knocking at it, like it was empty the whole day. Okay, does that mean the end of it? No. Okay, let's innovate. What do we do? Do people know about us? Do people actually want coffee? How do we get people to actually walk into our doors? We did stuff like on a Thursday, Puza Thursday, where we gave free coffee out. I thought people love free stuff, but almost like there's always an attachment to it, where people were like, walk past smiling, okay, and that's it. Or walk in, what's the catch, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So again, adapting and saying, explaining what that takes. And people walked in, gave free coffee, tasting, explaining what our coffee is. We don't believe in a perfect cup of coffee because there's 3 of us that own the business and we like our coffee differently. So it's an educational thing of saying, okay, how do you like it? We'll make it the way you like it because that's your coffee. You're spending your money. So it's not how we're pushing our brand onto you. It's how do we get you? How do we make what you're willing to part ways with your money with? So that's stuff we learned along the way. I could always say, this is how you have your coffee, but not everyone likes it the way I like it.
Yeah.
Even downstairs with the new bean that we have infused with J&B, it's explaining why it tastes like J&B. It doesn't have alcohol.
Infused
or
with
whatever.
J&B. I just want us to get that
Oh,
part.
Yeah. Yes.
Continue.
So it has J&B in it. It has the flavors, but it's even I think with how we hire our staff, it's the experience. People are willing to come back for the experience versus the coffee. If you get a good experience, you're more forgiving with a bad cup of coffee versus a good cup of coffee and like a rubbish experience. You won't come back again. Good coffee, but nah, I don't feel it. I'll go somewhere else. So if you have a good experience, engaging with the guys that walk in, you're more willing to come back again tomorrow, even if the coffee wasn't so great because I had fun when I was there. And that's kind of how we will, like over the time, adapting to see what people are asking for from us and then kind of responding to that. So it's bigger than just the coffee or just the brand or just the service. It's actually, like Itumeleng was saying,
Sort
it's
of curating an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a whole
How
experience.
long has it taken you to realize this?
Oh, shucks. So 2016, I don't know, 3 years?
3 years.
3 years. Almost 3 years. 2016 was the markets.
Yeah.
2017 was when, 2018, sorry, I lied, was when we opened the first store. So, I mean, we're still learning now. Having
Impeccable.
the pop-up
Definitely.
here, it's 2 stores, shucks. There's a whole dynamic that comes with that as well. So, yeah.
Sure. Working in the back end and watching entrepreneurs grow through their journey and, realize what they ought to be doing, perhaps 3-4 years later. What are some of the lessons that you wish you could tell someone when they walk into this space? Lessons that could save them of potentially heartache, personal distress, potentially even giving up on their business. What would you say to them to help them get where Debs and Itumeleng are, to just have that patience?
I'd say the planning that Itumeleng mentioned, to come in with a plan of your own. We can only help you get to your next level if we know what that next level is, so that we can all, just get on it. We do a lot of one-on-one learning and kind of really tailoring that experience and trying to match the right people with the right toolkits and all of that. So coming in with a plan, and then we've also started really asking them about what their visions are. So that support that plan.
Yes.
So that we can dream with them as well. So the same way that we've built up this space with them, we want to be able to take a similar journey in their own businesses. So that vision, that big vision piece, and then a little bit more of that, let's put some stuff down on paper. What's the plan? What point are we trying to get you to? What are you trying to learn? Where are you weak? Where are some of your strengths? Where do the opportunities lie? And then we'll work together on that.
Definitely. And I think also just as an entrepreneur, maybe to just sum up what has been said by the two entrepreneurs, it's always important to have that operational muscle that breaks down this big goal into the daily, the hourly, all the way through to what you hope to accomplish by the end of the year. But then when you reach those goals, it's important to start dreaming again, because the processes don't allow the company to scale. Debs is in a place right now where he understands his company, but you have to now reimagine so you can break that next frontier. But now coming to Nana, who, I really loved having a conversation with you yesterday, because I saw you have both corporate experience, but also a deep passion for business and a deep understanding also of entrepreneurship and young entrepreneurs in particular. I remember when I started in 2016, our big break came from a corporate partnership. So what do you think the role of corporate support is to startups in South Africa? And how would you advise them to play a bigger role in helping startups be sustainable so they can create jobs?
So I mull over this question quite a bit. My husband is an entrepreneur himself, and he actually left the corporate world to pursue his passion. I think The answer is two-pronged. So there is the financial support aspect. So corporate brands could contribute a bit more in terms of financial support. But I think what corporates are also looking for is sustainability, because in as much as, yes, we can support financially, it can't just be, it's not going to be a once-off thing, because this is someone who is building a business and are we in it for the long run. So there is that portion, and then there's the portion of looking at our current processes within the corporate world. So for example, our procurement process, and just assessing portions or tensions within the process that will allow us to accommodate startups and not just your traditionally established businesses across our value chain. And then another portion, and I was actually having a discussion with this, with our marketing director, Diageo, Zumi, just around the fact that the corporate landscape in itself is also shifting. We talked a lot about the rise of entrepreneurship, but with that, or in parallel to that, is the shifting landscape of corporate, where unlike our parents and their parents before them, a lot of us, I don't like the term millennials, but I'm going to use it. A lot of us millennials and sometimes zillennials coming through in the corporate world don't necessarily adhere to that traditional way of doing business. We are looking a little bit more for flexibility that will allow us to pursue our other interests in conjunction to what it is that we are doing. I was reading an article the other day, I think it was the Business Insider, where they were talking about how that 9 to 5, the traditional 9 to 5, is not going to be sustainable going into the future. So it's literally just looking at this traditional model of what a corporate is and what it stands for and so forth, to accommodate the shifting landscapes within the markets that we operate in.
What about distrust, though, to the entrepreneurs? You know, in general, there is a huge distrust between small businesses and, you know, corporate or big businesses. How do you think we can fix that issue as entrepreneurs? I mean, both of you have partnerships with big brands, and it represents a big break for many entrepreneurs sitting in the room. How do we overcome distrust and approach those relationships with strategic foresight to make sure that we get as much as we can for our businesses?
So I think, like a lot of the time, it's like Dana was saying, that procurement. It's where we're not just throwing, or big corporates not just throwing money at small business, and then it's at I've got my
enterprise
development stuff, and it's done.
Yeah.
Move on. That I think that probably kills businesses a lot more, because you chuck money at them. There's a season where they're doing well, but there's no it doesn't continue.
Yeah.
So for me, it starts at the procurement, where it's I'm going to use you for a long term. So it's not I'm going to put skills back into you. So for us, it was, yes, we got the money, which was great.
Important.
I'm okay with that. But there was skills that we got from even like the J&B Hive. It's actually the accounting, the legal side, the this, the that. There's continuity. My business, it's and seeing with other guys, other members here, it's partnering with Diageo as a brand on a long-term base. So that is, I think, more where the trust becomes or the gap rather is smaller versus just chucking money. It's a seasonal thing. As a big corporate, I get my points and everything, then I move on. As a small business, again, maybe the education as well. I get this money and I do my thing, and then down the line, my business closes down.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to operate as a big business. How do I get there? I'm a small business, and I'm forced to think as a big business. Help me get to where you are.
Exactly.
Let's partner and not just chuck money at me, or not just one-off things. Like, let's partner down the line, and as a business, I get to grow. Don't chuck a big thingy at me because I'm going to fail at that. I'm going to say yes to everything, but actually help me get to the point where I can take the big order, etc., etc. So I think it's not just a momentary thing. Big corporates taking small business and maybe a couple of them and splitting it up, and for over long term makes more sense to me versus just a once-off where my business does well for a year and then is
Absolutely.
gone next year.
Yeah, in fact, my first corporate partner, we had this elaborate presentation, and of course, when you're pitching, you believe you can do everything that you say you can do on your proposal. And I remember she said no. She said, I'm not going to give you that much funding because I'm going to kill your business. 3 years later, we thank her for that. And I'm not saying decline funding. I'm just saying be smart about this relationship that you're forming. And Itumeleng, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, there's trust. The thing is, with my business, I deal a lot with businesses, like B2B than B2C, B2C customer business. Yeah. So at first, we actually understood that there's going to be like that tension of trust, like can we trust you, and at the scale that you're in. And we started creating value on things that we can kind of write off. So we do actually do the service, and it was fine for us to give it away for free. Funny enough, by us doing that, we got more business, because initially we go in, we want the business because we want to keep afloat. But as I was saying with planning, if you have gotten 2 projects last month, out of those 2 projects, you have to take a portion of the profits. That's reinvesting in the business in a way of doing something for free to showcase that you can execute at that level. And that's how you build the trust, because in most cases it's like, yeah, you have to have an inside person, what. But it's not like that. You need to prove yourself, So that's how we overcame the whole trust issue. And through that's how we got more businesses by referrals, more than, because it's a bad thing. We're not necessarily marketing ourselves like that, but through great work, word gets out amongst the circles that are right, that
Absolutely.
need our services, basically.
So what would everyone's final words be to our audience regarding, today's message about entrepreneurship?
In as much as, yes, a brand can give funding, it needs to be sustainable. And the only way you can build up that sustainability is through learning. And that learning is achieved through continuous networking, continuous collaboration. And that's what we achieve here at the J&B Hive. And I think that's, for me, the proudest thing is that we really believe in that collaboration aspect. We believe in actually working together with the entrepreneurs to understand what it is that their businesses are about, and understanding what opportunities we can either expose them to or work with them on.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to ask the questions. And to also keep challenging, whoever you choose to go into partnership with. A lot of the time, the relationships are new. Some of the ways that you're working are new. The collaboration itself, or the innovation that's happening, is something that we haven't dealt with before. So, once that trust gap has become smaller, then, ask and be curious. And then, that could take you a lot further.
Yeah.
And it could enrich in that journey and, even just sustaining that partnership for a long time.
Sure. Debs?
I guess for me, it's probably for small businesses, it's this thing of just start. We're always wanting to get it right first. Just get started. Learn as you go. Fall forward. You'll never get it right. It won't be perfect for you to start. And I think also be cautious of who you partner with, like Spungile was saying, and just you'll get the most out of how much you pull, if that makes sense. So out of the partnerships that you have and how much you take from it, it's literally up to you. You can have a partnership, e.g. like J&B Hive, and be a member, and that's it, and your business will be exactly the same, or actually you're making an effort and pulling out of it. We got the bean because Arthur was literally on us continuously, and I think I even told him I appreciated that, because it got me pushing to get the product done. But that's because of that relationship that we made sure we had.
Mine is in twofold. As you were saying, just start. It's not going to be perfect. Like, you're not going to get it perfect the first time. Just start, and you will tweak and change going forward. Secondly, entrepreneurship is not for everyone. Like, you don't have to be an entrepreneur. You can have a career be a CEO and be successful in that. A lot of people just become entrepreneurs because it just seems cool. I'm doing my own thing, I'm pursuing. You can have a career while you're running a business at the same time. Then you can see if that's for you.
Yeah.
But if not, it's okay to have a job. It's okay to like push and have a career. But those two things, man, for me, that's what I would like to impart with people.
All right, and on that very sharp and sweet note, a big thank you to all of you for sharing your thoughts on how the landscape on entrepreneurship and the narrative around the future and the fortunes of entrepreneurs in South Africa can be changed. And I think it's really inspirational to see big brands such as J&B Scotch collaborating with credible enterprises like J&B Hive to create entrepreneurs of Deb's and Itumeleng's caliber. And for myself, Busim Kumbuzi, as well as J&B Scotch and the J&B Hive family, including all of its members, I would like to wish you a very awesome evening. Have a better blended day. Thank you so much. Thank you.